Intro. Scorpio is not the most intense sign. Scorpio is the most controlled sign. And that control, that iron, surgical, never accidental control, is what psychologists would call a hypervigilant attachment style. Most people who know a Scorpio have felt this without having a word for it. You walk into a room and Scorpio already knows your posture, your hesitation, the way your eyes moved before you spoke. They catalogued you before you opened your mouth. That is not paranoia. That is a nervous system trained to read threat before threat arrives. Today we are building the complete psychological profile. The behavior patterns. The relational dynamics. The contradictions that define them. And later, we are going to talk about the one thing Scorpio does in secret that has nothing to do with power and everything to do with fear. Stay with me. The core identity. Scorpio is not a water sign that flows. Scorpio is a water sign that pressurizes. Still on the surface. Crushing at depth. The emotional life of a Scorpio is not dramatic, it is tectonic. Things move slowly, invisibly, and then they are irreversible. At the center of this sign is a single psychological drive, the need to know what is real. Not what is pleasant. Not what is comfortable. What is real? Scorpio has an almost pathological intolerance for performance, for surface, for the polished version of a person. They will press, gently, relentlessly, until something true comes out. This is why Scorpio chooses depth over breadth in every area of life. One subject studied obsessively rather than 10 studied casually. One loyalty held absolutely rather than a network of convenient alliances. They do not dabble. They descend. And here is what that produces, a person who knows themselves at a level most humans never reach. The darkness, the contradiction, the hunger, Scorpio has faced it. That is not a gift. That is a discipline. The dark side. Scorpio's shadow is not cruelty. Cruelty is too loud. Scorpio's shadow is precision. When they are wounded, they do not lash out, they wait. They observe. They find the exact pressure point and they apply exactly enough force, at exactly the right moment, to make their point without leaving fingerprints. This is what people mean when they call Scorpio manipulative. But the more accurate word is strategic. Scorpio treats conflict like intelligence work. Emotion goes underground. The operation continues. They will remember, in 5 years, the specific tone of voice you used when you dismissed them. And when the moment comes, they will use it. There is also a pattern of self-sabotage that rarely gets named. Scorpio, at their lowest, will test relationships to destruction. They will manufacture distance, provoke abandonment, confirm the belief that everyone eventually leaves just to be the one who predicted it. The wound and the weapon are the same instrument. But perhaps the most dangerous quality is their capacity for silence. Scorpio can go completely cold. Not angry cold, absent cold. They simply withdraw the full weight of their attention, and the people around them feel it like a physical change in atmospheric pressure. That is not a coincidence. That is a calculated withdrawal of warmth as a form of consequence. Retention peak. Here is what Scorpio will never admit to themselves. Scorpio does not want power. Scorpio wants safety. Everything, the silence, the surveillance, the walls, the tests, the strategic withdrawal, every single behavior that makes Scorpio seem intimidating is actually a trauma response wearing a dominance costume. They built the fortress because someone got in early and destroyed something foundational. The control is not confidence. It is the architecture of someone who decided, at a very young age, that if they could see everything coming, nothing could hurt them again. The tragedy is that the fortress that keeps pain out also keeps love at arm's length. And Scorpio feels that distance more acutely than anyone. They just refuse to say so. In relationships, Scorpio loves with the kind of intensity that most people only read about. When they choose you, fully, consciously choose you, you will feel more seen than you have ever felt in your life. They remember everything. They notice everything. They invest with a totality that borders on overwhelming. But that investment has conditions. Not rules. Scorpio does not make rules. Conditions. Invisible thresholds. And if you cross one, you may not know it immediately. You will simply sense that something has shifted. That the warmth is slightly less warm. That they are still present but no longer fully there. Betrayal is not something Scorpio recovers from quickly. This is not stubbornness, it is architecture. Trust, for Scorpio, is not rebuilt. It is reconstructed from scratch, on a new foundation, with different load-bearing assumptions. That takes years, not apologies. What Scorpio needs in a partner is someone who does not flinch. Someone who can hold eye contact with the darkest version of them and not look away. Not someone who can fix them. A Scorpio is not broken. Someone who can witness them. That is the rarest thing they will ever find, and they know it. What they need to hear. Scorpio. Your perception is a gift, but it has become a cage. You read people so accurately that you have started to skip the relationship and go straight to the conclusion. You know the ending, so you never let the story happen. That is not wisdom. That is preemptive grief. The people who have hurt you do not represent all people. Your pattern recognition was built on a small, painful dataset, and you have been applying it to everyone since. That is not fair to them. And it is not fair to you. You are allowed to need people. You are allowed to be wrong about someone, in the good direction. Being vulnerable is not the same as being weak. It takes more courage to open than to armor. And you know that. You have always known that. That is why it frightens you. The transformation you are capable of is real. It is the most profound thing about you. But you cannot transform what you will not touch. Go there. You already know the way. OUTRO. Scorpio is not a sign for the faint of understanding. They are a case study in what happens when extraordinary emotional intelligence meets extraordinary self-protection. The result is one of the most complex, loyal, devastating, and ultimately redemptive personalities in the entire zodiac. If you recognize yourself in this, or recognize someone you love, sit with it. The profile was not built to expose. It was built to illuminate. Subscribe to Astrea Zodiac for daily cosmic intelligence. This is your universe speaking.